107.1 Traffic Jam is on your radio. That is Maze featuring Frankie Beverly. Called that one Too Many Games. And we are on the People Power Show. Our guest today is Cory Smith, attorney Cory Smith, right?
That's correct.
Alrighty then. Kitty London.
For the people who are just tuning in, welcome to the People of Power Show. And this is where we highlight movers and shakers, CEOs, entrepreneurs, people who are doing big things in our area. And I'm so happy and honored to have Mr. Cory Smith in front of me. Criminal defense attorney, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's part of
it, right.
Right.
And you also do personal injury as well.
I do a little bit of personal injury, not a whole lot of it.
Okay.
But the other area I practice is education law with respect to assisting charter schools navigate the waters that they have to navigate in order to keep them afloat and to help them do what they do.
Wow. Okay. So we're going to get into that, definitely, because that's something new. We've had attorneys, like I said, on our show, but not a criminal attorney yet. So did you like to argue when you were a child? Like, what made you want to be a criminal attorney?
You know, it's I actually just talked about this on my timeline just recently. I actually wanted to go into the sciences as a young child. By the time I got to high school, having grown up right here in this small to medium-sized town, I'd never seen skyscrapers before. But so my first time going to Miami, I was amazed. And I decided I wanted to be an architect because I wanted to design buildings. And if not that, rockets had always interested me because if you grew up here in South Florida, anywhere in most of Florida, we went outside and saw the space shuttle launches and that kind of thing. So I always wanted to do those, one of those areas. But the math got to be a little too hard. And my mom was a legal secretary for one of the pioneers here in Palm Beach County, Haygood and Williams. If you remember, if you've been around here. My mom was their legal secretary for a number of years, so I was exposed to the law through them, and that's where I got my interest.
I'm very impressed with your biography, too. Morehouse graduate?
I am a Morehouse man, yes.
Also a Morehouse man? Okay. And also, too, you got your law degree from the University of Florida, UF?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm a Gator. As well, I have good choice, it being the flagship institution for this state. And they had a law school forum in Atlanta every year that our professor would take us to every year. And I met the dean there. He was an African American back then, and I made inroads with him. And by the time I applied, maybe a year or so after I graduated, I got in, and that's where I was fortunate enough to go.
Well, kudos to you, because a law degree is something very serious. Very serious, so kudos to you. But we are going to get into it. We're going to have people ask questions. If you have any questions, you can call in 561-508-1114, and we're also live. But yes, please take advantage, because to have a criminal, you got some stuff going on in the community that I want to address too. So
absolutely,
we'll do that.
You know, I'm just looking, across from me. Most people that comes in the studio don't know how to talk into a microphone, right? And I'm looking at Cory over there. He's really into this microphone, man. He's just like grabbing this thing like he's ready. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he follows instructions. When you tell you talk into the microphone, he's doing just that.
Up to that microphone, man, doing his thing.
That's what you guys told me to do.
I like that, man. I like that. All right, Traffic Jam is on your radio. We'll be back with some more Cory Jones. All you got to do is just keep
Cory
it right.
Jones?
Cory Jones. I'm sorry, Cory Smith.
That's okay. I'm an advocate for his cause as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Lord help me.
Let me put this paper in front of me, okay? Cory M. Smith. Okay, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Attorney Cory M. Smith.
You can just call me Cory. I
always did, right?
That's right.
Always did. In the meantime, we'll be right back.
You can tell it's a live show, people. Hey, you heard me where mess up, right? It wasn't me. You just, give him.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
It's happened before. People ask me that.
Yeah. You turn on the music a little bit, please. Thank you. Hey, everybody. If you're just joining in, the attorney is in the building, Mr. Cory Smith. I will not mess up like Beware, okay? I know this man's name. I've studied the paper. Okay, so we got a couple of, hey, Tracy, how are you? Okay, there we go.
And then they think she was my little sister.
Okay, so she said, I see you, little brother.
What's up, Alex?
Alex K, classmate. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we said hey to everybody. Hey, everybody who's watching. So if you're just tuning in, we got this man in the hot seat. Hey, April. Hey, Becca. Hey. So, we could talk about some things real quick, because you did your intro, so they heard your intro. So I want to talk about some criminal questions.
Okay.
And please make sure you ask any questions that you need. If he can answer them, he will answer them. If he can't, he'll say he can't. But he's here for you all, because you got to take advantage of this. Hey, Barbara Rodriguez, good evening, Kitty. Great opportunity for the community call. Okay. So, we get arrested. I've never been arrested. I just want to tell you that. I've not been arrested yet. And it's not something that we normally plan for, just like getting in a car accident. We don't plan for things to happen, unfortunately. And we had our Bell's Bondsman lady on here. Hey, Trey Poole, we have her on there as well. But, the common myths of when you get it, of course, you're pretty much assigned, usually if you do not have an attorney already, you're pretty much assigned to a public defender. And Mr. Smith was a public defender, so he can really answer this question. He worked on both sides, and now he has his own practice. Kudos to you. I can't afford an attorney, right? As far as this. So I get an attorney. Is it best to allow a public defender, because they're going to do their job anyway, as far as doing the legwork. But then if I come across some great money or people to help me, then I go hire a private attorney to kind of let them do the legwork, so to speak, right before trial. And then, because I feel like attorneys like you are going to give me one-on-one attention, because when it comes to a public attorney, they're filled. You have a big workload.
So you're asking whether or not it's good to go with a public defender at the outset,
at first,
and
until
then letting it go until
can reach some funding,
and then if they don't, is it better to go private? It's a matter of that's a loaded question, because the public defender's office is a great office. One of the reasons I became a public defender here is because Palm Beach County's the reputation of the public defender's office back then was known nationwide, and it still is. You had people coming in from all over the country trying to be public defenders here in West Palm Beach, and I'm sitting here like, wow, I was born and raised here. So at the time when I decided that I wanted to go into criminal work, that you either go into the state attorney's office and be a prosecutor, or you be a public defender. I decided I wanted to be a public defender because I interned here for a couple summers. Actually, all 3 summers that I was in law school, and it's a mixed bag, and that's the thing. It's kind of the luck of the draw. You may get a career public defender who's dedicated to his or her clients, who will do the best job for you that's humanly possible. Then again, you may get somebody who just knows that they're there for a year or two, and they're using it as a stepping stone to move on, to further their career, and they may not care as much about cases. And a lot of times that happens, so that you may or may not get a good attorney. But one thing I will say, all public defenders are attorneys.
Right.
That's a huge misconception especially in our community. They had to pass the bar just like any other attorney, and a lot of times they actually have access to some resources that may not be available to others. If you don't have the financial resources to hire an investigator, or if you got DNA issues, you may need to get an expert to analyze DNA evidence, because a lot of times, even though DNA evidence comes back, and if it comes back to you, you still want an expert to look at that,
right?
Because it becomes possible testimony at a trial. So it's just kind of the luck of the draw. Me personally, I would want a private attorney
from the outset,
because this is the thing. I've taken over cases from the public defender's office, and it's.
She said, so tell me, I was incarcerated wrongfully, may I add. I have been home almost 8 years, and I'm still fighting to get my civil rights restored. Why is it such a fight? I have not been
in any more trouble.
Yeah, I have not been in here wrongfully. Put a black mark on my name.
Oh my
what
gosh.
Can I do?
First time non-violent and scored, had 23 points, and you did 8 years. Unfortunately, I'm sorry that happened to you. That unfortunately, is the story of a lot of people. 8 years and you only had 23 points. That's mind-boggling. And unfortunately, like I said, that happens. That does happen. So you got to make sure when you get in the system. I don't know the facts of your case. I don't know what happened that led to you getting 8 years on a nonviolent crime. You probably had a conglomeration of bad factors. You got a bad prosecutor, a bad judge, and a poor lawyer. And those things, sometimes those things do conspire and happen to you. I've seen that happen before. And listen, I can't sit here and say every case I've ever done, I've done the greatest job. Nobody's done the greatest job of everything they've ever done. We've all made mistakes. But that kind of thing, is just terrible. Now, to answer your question about what can you do, well, unfortunately, you have to petition up to Rick Scott's office up in Tallahassee, because they're they run the committee that determines whether or not people get their civil rights back. It goes to the governor's office, and that's a political and we can talk about that too.
Right.
That has to do with politics, and that's why people get disillusioned with voting, and voting doesn't count, voting doesn't matter. But it matters because even though Charlie Crystal was a Republican, one of the good things he did do is streamline the process for ex-felons to get their civil rights back. He made it so that it's automatic, even though it wasn't automatic,
right.
But it was a streamlined process, and a lot of people got their civil rights back. We didn't vote. Rick Scott got in office, and he immediately revoked that, because ex-felons, as is widely known, tend to vote Democrat. So politics plays a role. Public policy plays a role in everything that we do. So that's why if you see me on Facebook talking politics all the time, and if you engage me in personal conversation, I'm always talking politics. That's one of the reasons why. So unfortunately, right now we're living in a time where Rick Scott's in office, and you got to petition his office to get your civil rights back. So, and that's going to take more time.
Yeah, so she said the judge's daughter died from an overdose, conflicting issues. So it kind of maybe was kind of personal, like you said. Sometimes if you have a bad judge. Now we hear this. You're not. What did it say? You're not. You're innocent until proven guilty. But it's kind of like you're guilty until proven innocent. And when I say that, meaning, you commit a crime, they arrest you, you're either not on bond, you can't get a bond, so you're kind of just held there until you go through the whole court process and things like that. So I'm just kind of questioning, like, as an attorney, how do you feel about that saying? Is it do you believe you're innocent until proven guilty when I'm in jail and I can't see my friends and family?
And it's nuanced. it's innocent until proven guilty is something that I do believe exists.
Okay.
It exists less for people of color, obviously. We all know that. I'd be I don't know what I'd be if I sat here and said that didn't apply, if that wasn't true. The thing is, though, and I tell people this all the time when I'm giving them just personal advice, just sitting around talking, you have the constitutional right to due process. You have the right to be tried by a jury of your peers if you're facing jail. Because some cases you don't. If you're not facing jail, you don't have a right to a jury. You only have a right to a trial before a judge. And a jury of your peers doesn't mean people who you know or people who look like you, or people your same age. It just means fellow citizens. That's what your peers mean. And 9 times out of 10, the people who show up for jury duty are people who, they live in Boca, Jupiter, Wellington, who have time to or ability to take off from their jobs and do their civic duty. So you kind of get what I'm saying when I say, you end up with a jury that might not understand some of the things that
you go through.
People of color or poor people